Nope. Yo, what's good, everybody, man? Salute to the tribe. New comic book day, indie review. Everybody in the building starting to pile in here, waiting on some people to show up and things. And we got my co-host Stu Dog in the in the wings. He's having some technical issues, but he'll be in here in a second. But I want to introduce to y'all, man, a very special guest, Ali. Now, how do we say it? Do we say Ali ALC or Ali ALC? What is that?
You could say either way, because my name is Ali. You could just, but technically it's actually pronounced like initials, ALI. So that's what I go by. But it's ALI, ALC. That's basically who I am and how you would read that. Yeah. And then OO is basically the first two letters of my comic book and my creation called Original Origins. So I just call it OO. And so you'll see that around OO Universe or the Universe, things like that.
Got you. Yeah, because I was gonna ask you your Instagram handle is OOALIALC. I was wondering about that. Okay, so that makes sense. So everybody, and Jenny is in the building. That's your daughter. She says hi, Dad.
Hey, baby.
That's what's up, man. Family support is everything, man. And so we got you here, man. We want to talk about a few things you're doing, man. You got a lot going on. You're making your own comic book, which is crazy. That's kind of how we got into this. But you're also an MC.
Yeah, and you know, that's funny. That's how it kind of got me into it. Because I was doing a lot of MC stuff back in the day. I actually just by chance happened to move across the street from this cat named Dwayne Johnson, not The Rock, but another cat named Dwayne Johnson. He had a brother named Andre Johnson, who's not Andre 3000. This is actually Christ Bearer. I don't know if you ever heard of Christ Bearer. From, North Star. He cut off his thing and stuff.
Yeah, so, that's the cat.
Right. Yeah, so he actually came through for a birthday party, and I was out at that birthday party for his brother's son, and I started spitting for him, and he was like, "Man, you're good, man." And then I let him know what ALI stood for, and it means any logical insight or any loud instrument. You know, I like to just put meaning to stuff that's deeper than what you see up in the forefront. So when I told him that, he said, "You know, Jizza and the RZA, they actually like are really into that type of stuff, like hidden meanings and things."
Oh,
so
yeah.
He was like, "You know, if you can get me a demo, I'll go ahead and like toss that over to him." And so he came over to my crib and we started like recording in my little studio that I had. And I'm telling you, it was like low budge, man. It was like a tape recorder and like a little Radio Shack mic, but we did our thing, and you know, we made a little song together. It never got put out or anything like that, but that's kind of like as far as I was able to get. I've been on stage with a few people, like the Dub Shack from did the LBC Summertime and the LBC song back in the day. Yeah, I performed with them, and one of my friends, I was doing a backup for him, and I wrote a song about how I met this girl, and that's kind of how it got me into like storytelling, because all my flows before that was kind of like, you know, grimy, gutter. You know, I used to love listening to Biggie and Pac back in the day, and Naughty by Nature and stuff like that. So I would go ahead and try to drop rhymes that like really expressed how how my flow was like advanced, you know. So but then I started going off into like trying to tell a story, and when I realized when I would spit that for people, they really liked it, and I ended up realizing that I could tell a story pretty well rhyming. I could probably tell a story without rhyming better. So I started doing that, and I came up with a story about The Beggar, which is the comic book that I'm making now.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's basically about this little kid named Desmond. He's the main character, and he's following the beggar. And what you're seeing is all of the stuff that that the beggar is doing. You're seeing it through Desmond's eyes. And something happens in the very beginning of the comic book, and that's as far as I'm going to go into it. I'm going to share what happens that gets him going into it. I don't really want to share too much more, but basically Desmond's this little homeless kid, and he lives on the streets of Jersey, and that's where I grew up. So I use a lot of the things, you know, in my life as inspiration. And in this comic book you'll see like hip-hop and battle raps and wrestling. I love wrestling, so you're going to see one of the characters actually is actually the wrestler named Untouchable, and he's got a really cool storyline. But the beggar ends up killing two of Desmond's friends, and he sees this happen, and he ends up dedicating his life to finding out why he did it and just bringing him to justice. And so the story and the comic book is going to be a little gory. You're going to see a lot of like things that you wouldn't see in like a mainstream comic, but being this is like independent, I can just make whatever I want. So I'm excited to like kind of get my story out there. It doesn't just end there with him. These storylines go on into other things. You go to Tokyo, Japan, Louisiana, and you see some of the characters down here. They're kind of in silhouette, and you're going to see them throughout the comic book. And they have like major storylines that change things and introduce other worlds and realms. This is a whole universe I've been building for a long time now. Wow. Probably about 7 years.
Wow, that's impressive. And this is the cover, right?
Yeah, this is one of the covers that is going to start out the comic book. This is issue number 1 cover. I'm going to have 2 other variants, one of which is going to be drawn by a different artist. I'm in the works with commissioning it with him right now, so I don't want to say if he's going to do it or not, but you know, I'm in the works with that right now. And there's going to be a lot of like dialogue as far as like what's happening in society right now, you know what I mean, and awareness, self-awareness, and trying to be just a decent human being. And the comic book really tries to focus on what is evil and who's to say what is evil, you know what I mean, because there's too many things that can be misconstrued as evil when you're seeing it from, say, somebody else's eyes, or you're not getting their perspective. So that's basically where this goes into. Ultimately, it tries to answer that question, but
gotcha.
I feel like that's something that you can't really answer in just one issue or one comic book series.
Definitely. Now, we've got, Slick Nick is in the building. Salute, Slick Nick. He says that, is there an echo? Jenny, you're in here. Is anybody else in here? If you hear an echo, or if it's just Slick Nick, let us know, because I don't hear an echo. You sound fine to me, Ali.
I do hear myself just a little bit.
Do you?
And I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Could be, yeah, I don't know. It could be your headset, your mic thing. I don't know. But let me, I want to make, yeah, I do hear it now. When you did that, let me see.
I don't know if it's my mic, maybe.
I don't know. I just changed something on there, so that should fix it. Let me know, guys, if there's still an echo. So this is the cover, and this is tell us what this is here.
Okay, so this is the first page that I was working on. I didn't want, like I said, I don't want to put too much out there. So until I'm finished with it, you know, because I hate to like, you know, wet people's palate and be like, you know, I want to see what's happening with this and not really, you know, because I'm working slow here. I want to make the quality really good, and I'm working on detail. And I'll be honest with you, I'm more of a writer than I am an artist. I've been able to draw and paint things my life, but you know, this is something that I'm actually kind of trying to learn how to do as I go, because I've never drawn a comic. So finding out how the process of drawing comics actually goes was very interesting. So what you see here basically is my process, because I figured out that I wasn't really trying to just, when I'm painting, you know, you try to, you envision something, you might have like a single sketch of an outline, and then you paint it, and then those brushes do the work. You do the work in the paint, and it comes out. But with this, I had to kind of lay a background, and I had to layer these things. And so what you're seeing is a few different layers that I have here. And the first layer is the actual background that you're seeing, like kind of on the bottom. That's a basketball court. And then we see like the bodega front end right there on the street. And then you see up at the very top, that's Desmond right there. And that's basically my process. I go through and I create the background, I put the characters in, and then I basically start developing the characters as I go. And so the last process is the very top. And that's with all the detail and everything in it. What you're seeing is Desmond right there in the front playing with his basketball, and he's waiting for Joey, who's one of the characters that you get introduced to. If you look down at the second part in the middle, at the very far right, you see the two figures there. That's Joey and Sandra. There are two characters, and they're the first two victims in the comic book. That's why I don't want to really go too far and show you too much, because like in the next panel, things start to happen, you know, and you start seeing things. So and plots start to build just from the beginning like that. I'm trying not to like really keep the audience waiting too much. I really want to fulfill a lot of things and like and make sure that storylines and plots get told and completed. And even if they do kind of continue on, I kind of want there to be some sort of feeling of like resolve, you know what I mean?
Right, definitely.
So yeah, this right here is basically the scene setting up their relationship. They are shopping in a bodega. Desmond is outside on the very first panel, and he's just bouncing his ball, waiting around. They come out and they give him a little popsicle, and they give him $3. And after they give him the $3, they tell him, we're going to go continue shopping. The next scene is him talking to his boys on the basketball court, and they're talking about how it's strange that those people are just kind of always, giving him stuff and, always trying to figure out how he's doing and everything like that. And and you kind of learn a little bit more about Desmond at this point. He tells them that, stuff ain't going good at home, which is a foster home, and he likes to sleep on the streets, and he'd rather just duck in an alley somewhere and use his basketball as a pillow. So he's kind of like developing his character and letting you know what's going on in these first few panels. And then the next one, you see him walking through the neighborhood, and then he finds Joey and Sandra, and then that's where it begins. Actually, that's where he meets the beggar as well for the first time, and he notices what's been going on.
So the beggar, is what it sounds like? It's just like a homeless guy?
Yeah, there's a lot more to his story. The backstory behind the beggar is actually the basis of this comic book. So there's a reason why he's doing all these things, and there's a reason why he's so malicious when he does it. He's mercilessly killing people and in really like horrid ways. And Desmond witnesses it, and it's two of his really good friends, and he decides at the age of 13 that he's gonna dedicate his life now to finding this man. And so he stays in Jersey, and he ends up like trying to develop his skills as an investigator and stuff. And then he tries to follow him around wherever he's going. Like I said, this goes all the way to Tokyo, Japan, Louisiana, and other places like that. But in the first issue, you're actually going to go to those three places, and it's going to start building the story of why the beggar's actually been killing these people.
Man, this sounds amazing. Like, I can't wait to get into this book, man. I really would like, I could see buying this. Like, this is a book that I would buy. Like,
yeah,
I like.
I appreciate that.
Definitely. And I love what you're doing here with the panels. Like, you're not doing this a grid, boxes. I love you got the panels are kind of, coming off, almost 3D or like, the cool shapes that you have.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. Yeah, I've noticed that some of the books that I've bought that actually help you kind of like design comic books, they're very linear and just like straight lines and stuff, and so you don't see too much of that. And I remember reading a lot of indie comics coming up and just realizing like, man, these are a lot different than you see like
Marvel or
Silver
DC.
Age, Marvel, DC,
Right.
They've got like just boxes. So what I wanted to do was just kind of change it up a little bit. Some of my stuff doesn't even have boxes or panels. It's kind of just like, it'll like fade from one into another, and I think I sent you one of those too, where it's kind of like the street corner that he's walking on, and it kind of fades into an alley. Like I said, it's real rough work in the beginning because I'm just right there, and so that street is gonna fade into that into the shadow of that alley right there. And then the bottom panel, you're going to see that's where he finds Joey and Sandra. So like, you're going to see like an open layout in most of my pages with a lot of like the artwork and stuff. And the dialogue is going to kind of be snuck in either somewhere you wouldn't expect, but
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the dialogue is something that, and the bubbling and the lettering and stuff, that's something I'm actually learning right now as I'm going. Because, like I said, this is something very different from writing, say, a novel or a screenplay, which is something I've done before. And that's part of my universe as well. You know, I've got like screenplays, novels, short stories that I've come up with. They all coincide into one huge event, and they end up completing the story of the beggar, the antagonist, and all of the other the characters that come into play. It ends up culminating in one singular event.
Wow.
And I wanted to start it off spreading out through all the different mediums, you know, like music and books, comic books, animated series, television, movies. That's what I'm looking to do. And if I can do it myself, or not myself, but like if I can get it done without any like big budget or industry help, I would love to do that. But
Well, are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
No, I would really love to see this come into fruition. You know, this is something I've been working on, like I said, for like 7 or 8 years. And it's a huge universe that I've built with, you know, different societies. And I actually created a language for some of the worlds and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's serious world building, man. That's you know, that's missing from a lot of you know, a lot of stuff today, a lot of comics. And like you were saying with the indie, you know, you can do whatever you want. You've got free range. You know, you can be as creative as you want, and you can go really far, you know, left or right or whatever. And bringing hip hop into this, I think, is what really makes it interesting. You are also an MC, so to bring that up, you know, you also do music, right? And
yeah, I do.
How long have you been doing music?
Oh man, that's been something I've been doing for a long time. My cousin had a band back in the day, ska band, and that's kind of like how I really got into it. I used to play the cello in 3rd grade, and I played the trombone, you know, coming up through high school and stuff, in marching or in symphony band. I was never in marching band, but I was always in symphony, sitting down or, you know, in a room auditorium. So I was in band when I was younger, and that kind of got me started into liking music. And then like Kumo D was probably my main source back in the day, my main inspiration to try to want to rhyme, because I would listen to Kumo D's, just his tempo and his cadence, and I was just like, just the way he delivers, and everything just had a boom at the end of it. I used to live downtown, you know what I mean? So it was like, I loved the way he did it. And Fresh Prince, you know, Will Smith too, back in the day when him and Jazzy Jeff were making their first album, you know, I loved the way he used to tell stories and stuff. His
Nightmare on My Street.
Exactly, man. That was one of my most favorite joints right there. Was Nightmare on My Street.
Yeah, Kumo D, man. Like block. When I was 10 years old, like 50 Ways. Like, yo.
Exactly.
That was my shit. Definitely, man. That's the pioneer, you know, that's the origin of stuff. And did you notice a correlation with comic books and hip hop back then?
Not until like say the Wu-Tang Clan came out. Back like that's when I really like noticed it myself. And then you know, there was a lot of like the nicknames was being exchanged, and you know, it was like Johnny Blaze and Tony Starks, you know, so they were like using those nicknames back in the day. And you had like Jeru the Damager, and he like, I think I remember like his CD had like a little comic book in it, or like the flip book, the insert had like, it was like comic book graphics or something,
like art and stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I remember like Jeru the Damager was one of like the main like that I would see using that type of stuff. Also Shaq Diesel, he had like his little comic book thing too going. You know what I mean? So yeah. So those were my inspirations as far as like hip hop goes. You know who else did that too? Who had a lot of artwork that was like kind of comic book inspired was Outkast. Some of like their like second or third stuff. So you know, I did see the influence there. And I remember seeing your first podcast and you talking about the influence that got you starting this show. And I was like just blown away because of the fact that I never really heard too many people talking about Valiant comics, man. And that was like, for me, the main comic book I would read. Everything else was cool. I loved Hulk, I loved Spider-Man and Superman and Batman, but there was something about Exo Man of War and Turok the Dinosaur Hunter that just had me hooked. And just the animation they used, was a trip. And then you said that you saw the Nas line in the Harbinger series, and I was like, man, this guy's reading Valiant. That is, you know, the fact that. Yeah, and I heard you got a big Valiant collection and stuff too.
Yeah, it's a decent size. You know, it's like a short box full, and then I got a stack of graphic novels too. But that was like Valiant was one of the first joints that when I got into comics in like 2019. All right, just to break it down, when I was like 10 or 11, 12, maybe like 92, 93, I was buying comics. Like I went into a comic shop and I was blown away, and I like the first Carnage, the first Spawn, like all of that stuff. I was, because Spider-Man with the black suit looked like a ninja to me, and I was always in martial arts. So I got into comics then, and I was, you know, buying them, collecting them, reading them at the time, not really reading them as much, just mainly buying and collecting them, reading, you know, here and there, but I wasn't really into reading yet. I got out of comics like when I got my driver's license and started messing with chicks. Like comics were like,
yeah.
I think I sold them all, getting my first crib or whatever. But
right.
Like in 2019, House of X and Powers of X came out. I heard about it. I heard it was coming out. I always had loved the X-Men, like the 90s animated show. Like the movies were kind of whack, but I tried to love them. But X-Men have always been my thing. So when I heard that was coming out, like I bought it, and it was so dope, so mind-blowing to me. I started buying everything that came out that was mutant related. Right. Since House, I have everything, like everything that Marvel's put out with a mutant title since Hox Pox, I own it. But at that time, I was looking for stuff to read, and I was kind of like in my research, I found out that Valiant is one of the best comics, one of the best publishers for a new reader, like someone that wants to jump into comics. Valiant is what time it is, because they keep it small. They don't have 1,000 characters. The issues don't go back decades. Like they go a certain, few years, and they stop and do a new volume. And then they retell that story, that origin of that character again. So you don't have to like read the stuff from the 80s or the 90s rather to get what's going on now. Like with Marvel and DC, it's daunting. You're like, well, where do I start?
What's going on before?
How many Spider-Mans are there? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like Valiant keeps it concise, and they got, like I said, maybe 10 characters or something like that.
Yeah. They're about continuity, you know what I mean? And that's a very important thing in storytelling, man. It's continuity.
Absolutely.
Being able to like tell a story and look back and say, I see that connection right here.
Right.
Still, and they haven't veered from that. And I love that about Valiant. True. They've definitely got their storytelling down right, and the artwork too. There's some things that like recently, I haven't really liked as far as like some of the artwork, some of the newer stuff. I felt like it got a little lazy as far as like if you looked at like Faith and stuff like that. Like that artwork I wasn't really digging too much, but usually like in the 90s, 2000s, because they fell off for a little bit and came back 2013 or something like that. When they came back though, 2012, they came back strong, and I was really enjoying their artwork at that point.
That's the era. That's what I rock. Like I have the 90s stuff, but I don't really like it. Like it's not that I don't like it. It's just it doesn't read as well. It
doesn't hold up well.
It doesn't hold up now. But this right here I got from Valiant. This is everything that they've done since 2012. Like every comic, Valiant is thousands of comics on this thumb drive.
Yeah, man, you got like a lot.
$60 on the website right now. You can get it, and it's got every comic from 2012 to like 2018. Everything they've done.
That's dope.
Yeah,
and they got a great collection too, man.
That's like the era. That's where they really got good. Their new stuff is good. Yeah. Like you said, the art is not, it's not comparable to what you're seeing in like Marvel and stuff like that. But that all of it is. And some of it is like there's some dope like Rye.
Rye's
dope.
Roku,
Bloodshot is dope.
Roku, Roku's probably my favorite, man, right there.
Yeah, Live Wire.
Yeah, Livewire is cool too, man.
Ninjak,
Ninjak has always been really. Actually, Ninjak I think has been steady from the beginning, because he hasn't. I mean, he's always just been a super spy ninja, man. You know what I mean? You can't really go wrong with that. And they've got a lot of like one shots and stuff like that too, like the little Rapture series they had.
Right. I got that.
Yeah, those are really good, man.
they have like short series too, like Britannia, which is
I was just
crazy
gonna
good.
say,
Eternal
yeah,
Warrior
man.
has some dope Eternal Warrior stuff. And it's not Rye, it's Future. Nah, what is it? Forever.
4000 AD. It was 4000 AD, right? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, that's dope too. But
Yeah.
it's called World something World. Man, I don't want to get up to go get it, but
Yeah.
it's Rye related, but it's dope, man. Like there's a lot of cool. But yeah, I was reading Harbinger, because that's kind of like their X-Men. You know, they have, like Exo Man of War is their kind of Iron Man. I see him as an Iron Man / Thor,
For
because
real.
he's the Visigoth. He's the old, barbarian that was fighting the
Yeah.
Romans. So he's from that era. So he's Thor like in that way. He's
Yep.
got the suit, so he's Iron Man like, but he's still, and then you have Bloodshot, which is it's kind of their Wolverine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's like the
Yeah. The
Weapon X,
Punisher Wolverine type thing.
Punisher
Yeah.
Wolverine, exactly. And Harbinger is like their X-Men. So yeah, I was reading that, and I'm like reading the joint, and he's like, yo, I start reading the lines, and I'm like, where do I know that? Wait, that's Illmatic, bro. Hold on. I'm looking. It's verbatim. Like, it's really Illmatic. Like, it took me a minute. I couldn't believe they really did that, because I didn't know that comics, were had hip hop in them. I knew
Yeah.
there was comics and hip hop. That's always been since like Grandmaster Flash in the Furious 5.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Fantastic Four. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been names and song titles and lyrics and everything. But
Exactly.
now that the writers and stuff that are making comics today are from the era of hip hop, they're grown up. They I'm 42 years old. From
Right.
from
Same
like
here, man.
30 to 50, those are the kids that grew up on hip hop, and that's who's making comics now. So you definitely see the hip hop.
There's gonna be an influence, definitely. You're gonna see it, in wrestling. That's the other thing. I love wrestling. Grew up with WWE, WCW. So those are big influences as well. So I used to. You remember, you used to get them VHS tapes. I don't know if you used to this. Me and my cousin used to just rent them, like maybe Survivor Series or like Royal Rumble, and we would pretend like we was the wrestlers and wrestle on the couch cushions and stuff on the floor,
Right.
and make our own little ring in the living room. My
Yeah.
mom would come in and start yelling at us because we breaking lamps and stuff. But that was a big influence too. Hip hop, comic books, cartoons from back in the day, and wrestling and stuff. Yeah, that stuff is definitely going to be an influence that you're going to see in comic books for sure. And hip hop though is like you had I think I remember you saying something about Method Man having like a huge library.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so that is going to be another thing where it's going to be cool again. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what's happening now. Like, comics are becoming like cool again. Not just a collector thing. You know what I mean?
And I think that has a lot to do with hip hop. Like because a lot of fans don't really realize all your favorite rappers and producers, they're comic nerds.
Yeah,
all of them. Like you said, J. Rue the Damager. I interviewed him on the channel. You probably saw the interview. I don't know. He was talking to me about Power Pack and Elf Quest. Like all like Elf I was Quest, like, yeah, man. J. Rue reading Power Pack and shit. Yo,
that's funny, man. Yeah, for real.
His name, J. Rue the Damager, he said is got from Conan the Destroyer. J. Rue the Damager.
Word. Yeah, I can see that.
It was comics. Like he said, because I asked him, I was like, did you ever notice the, the correlation? And he's like, man, that's how I got my name. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he was heavy. So, a lot of fans are going to start to realize, that your favorite MCs, your favorite producers, your groups, all of them are into comics. And like you said, like you look back at album covers, Outkast, like you look at the album covers, Wu-Tang, forget about it. Everybody knows, you know what I mean? That they're in the comics. Swinging through your town like your neighborhood Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, exactly. Those lyrics they hit hard too. You get stuff like I remember you dropped a jewel on me, man. Like one of your shows, I was like, I never heard anybody reference The Last Emperor, and you use The Last Emperor like rhyme, like that reference that he came up with. I think it was about Kato or something like that, but or what was it? But it was actually a whole rhyme like that they did. But I remember he had a group with Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine and KRS-One called Criminals in Action, CIA. And yeah. And I remember I watched your I think it was the lyric. You did like a special show, right?
I did a couple about like hip hop comic verses and lyrics that are comic related.
Right, exactly. That's where I saw it, and I was like, man, I can't believe that. And you took me back, and I actually listened to one of their songs, and there was another reference where they do say something about how what's his name? Last Emperor. I realized that he's got a lot of comic book references in his joints. Like he does reference a lot of like comic books, man. You get some more than others for sure, but
right. Like you got MF Doom, like Czarface. You know, these are major comic heads. You know, it's all over the album covers, and I mean, Doom, like that's Dr. Doom. Like, come on, he's doing stuff like sending imposters to perform at his shows. When I found that out, I was like, yo, y'all don't understand.
So he was sending people not like looking like him?
Nah, he would send someone wearing the Doom mask and perform as if they're him. He wouldn't even come to the show. They would.
That is crazy.
He would sell tickets.
So he wasn't even there.
Nah.
What the?
Sending Doom bots, bro.
That is exactly.
I was like, right, bro, that's y'all don't understand. You know how cool it would be to had been there, because that's that's a Doom bot. Like that's what Dr. Doom would do. You know what I mean? Every time you saw the Fantastic Four, the Avengers beat Doom, it was always a robot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you always
that is a major comic book reference right there. Like sending a Doom bot out to perform as you. That is, I don't think that could be topped right now. That's honestly, that's a good one.
You know, like some of the fans were like, pissed off and they didn't get it. You know,
man.
They don't understand why he did that. They thought he's just being a jerk off, like he didn't want to go, so he sent somebody in a mask. Nah, bro.
Dang, man. No, that was all for the show. Yeah, that was all for it. Like that was meant to happen. I mean, that's right. I like that, man. That is real cool. I never heard of that.
Speaking of hard hitting verses, man, let's play one of your joints. I got a video on deck. We're gonna play that for everybody and let them. This is the spitting over the Jedi Mind Tricks beat. This was dope.
I appreciate it. Cool.
All right, here we go.
Yo, what up? This is Ali. I'ma spit something off Jedi Mind Tricks. Instrumentals. This is mine. I wrote this. Here we go. See if you can keep up. See if I can keep up. You know what I'm saying? You a whack shit refugee with no tactics, and I harass your last words with a book of lit matchsticks, turning over your grams, he's resting in his casket. Unpeacefully, that's what your family's new facet is. Mind his business, protect your esophagus, cause light will pierce this, surviving your apocalypse. Babylon is falling, no longer reign supreme. They say the heavens calling and believe the devil's schemes, but I dreamed a color dream, and I remember seeing blue, yellow, red, and green, and viciousness never seen in a form like this. I'm killing you with kindness, or your neck with a tight twist, casino ruthless. Who to dispute this word wicked to boot? Fizz, I'm like soda pop locking. Santa left a Mac and a Glock in my stocking. Oh, you're a good boy, now it's time to be bad. Clowning on rhymes that's vernacularly lacking. Easy to track them and to put them on their backs, ending in a brutal showdown. Got the upper hand standing on the low ground. Keep this on the low down. Kamikaze flow skills, highly wildly nostrils, leaving MC's roadkill scattered across the whole field. No wheel when it comes to talking about that cold steel. No villa, region, county, city, town, or area. It's gonna be untouched if you an MC, I'm a barrier. Nary a bit, married my bitch after 2 kids. Mood swing, switch, snooker, savory, delivery, the injury, offended me for 2 swings, but on the third I'm ending equally as squeaky clean as battle free. With a gliding speech sound that varies continually. In phonetic quality, but considered only to be a few words that I speak while listening to a beat. Cause for retreat, you're pumping feet, ducking, trying to dump on me, rather than hand on hand in this ravenous cannibal. Cash that's his, I mash the biz like potato flakes. Make a weight gain and sprinkle over my paper chase. 50-inch waist, make haste. Blending verbal flavor and hypnotic rhythmic labor. Relentless project stress is crazy comic caper. To rich folks, they call me Frankenrhyme, grabby torture pitchforks. I'm bombing a wall of a train, bombing my laws, and I bring my nouns and my words. I'm saying my pounds and my words. I'll remain founded, I'm hurting, I'm pain, pounding earth, I'm an angry eight. That's why they call me Silverback, heavy with gorilla palm. Illa song, spitter hotter than that monk that set himself on fire. My higher priority prophecies turn messiahs into mockeries. Dropping these, lyrically perform armed robberies. Wu-Tang spotted me in the swarm of killer bees, chilling on the hill in the dark filled with cypress trees. Writing these page turners, wage under, spitting fire, face burners. You see, I'll pick a page and fill it up. You see, I've killed enough to last me my past 3 lives. Ask me why I can't see night, see in the dark so I don't sleep right. And suicidal samurais are searching in the sunlight, trying to get your son so surrender in the same sight. Yo, that's a lame fight. Y'all know my game tight. Ain't killing myself when I first do the 8th night of any week. Many seek the ruthlessness, truth that is this life. But is it ever right? Even if the clever write what it's meant to be, I'm the entity sent to these MCs to teach lessons needed to be their mortality. I'm rapidly grasping beats with my mind's eye. Why lie on the sprout? I'ma keep grabbing my movement wired set to fire at the slightest bit of movement. Watching these whack MCs to see who doing it. No fingerprints or lingering hits, just a clean hit. Nickel grip with a full clip. Less one sitting inside my target's heart. It's slowing down, no one around. No witnesses found, just pounds of flesh. Slump with a single breath left in his chest. Lessons for the next who thinks of swelling his breast. Magellan's soul quest, the second his soul's pressed against the fence. Hence this whole brutal process. I'm Samsonite light when I'm pleading my case, igniting a firefight with a spark from my spit. Taste rotten MCs kicked out of the venue. Crowds is getting rude, then again they always tend to. When I tend to, they're mentals with a pencil. Inject slow, the next flow in essentials. Meaning every word and beat down to the sample. You're trying to diss this, you're trying to get mantled. Coming at me wrong, I got a whole new angle. Like, off of we can blue a newbie. Off of that spot right there. Next to please, I'm acting foolishly. Cause what you gonna do to me? I'm cooler than like 2 of me. A little Weezy's jewelry. Let's stop this simple tomfoolery. Yeah, I'm sweating. It's on, baby.
Yo. Yo, that was hard, yo.
I appreciate that, man. I'm real into like lyrics and like content. You know what I mean? It's got to mean something. You know what I mean?
I agree, man. 1,000%, man. It's like, you know, these kids today, man. I try to. They like, man, it don't have to have a positive message. It don't have to say anything specific, but it's got to say something.
Right. You know, it could be free form, you know what I mean? But you got to talk about something.
Story. It don't have to be this or that. It don't have to be positive or negative. It don't have to be gangster or not. It just got to say something.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of stuff now, they not saying nothing, dog. Like the rhymes.
They're fronting. They flexing on camera, and that's it.
That's it, man. They not putting together the lyrics, man, and they not even thinking about what they're saying, man. And that's dangerous because
it is. You
got a platform. Your voice is being heard by millions. And if you saying some garbage, man, you know, look what you're doing to the culture.
You are influencing people.
Absolutely, man.
Definitely.
You know, and that's why we wanted to do this show, you know, with Full Blast. DJ Tiger wanted to do this show, man, that we're going to do the artist showcase that I want you to register your joints for. Just re-record some stuff on some original beats.
Yep.
And yeah, man, you know, the whole show is because we want to give the light to the talented people that aren't getting the light right now.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah, and I appreciate that platform, man. Honestly, that was really cool of you to, you know, actually extend that invitation to me, and I appreciate that for real. You know, this is something that I've been working on, and I'll be honest, I haven't been working on it as hard as I should in the 8 years that I was working on it, just building little by little. But this past year, I've been like, I've put so much work into learning the craft, you know, and really trying to make sure that my storytelling is above and beyond what I see out there, because I see a lot of laziness in storytelling. I see a lot of laziness in art and in drawing when it comes to presenting your story, you know. And I understand the art doesn't have to be perfect, and art is like definitely perspective, you know. It's in the eye of the beholder, and beauty is, you know, whatever you make it. So I understand that, and I'm not digging on anybody's art or the way they do their thing, but I do notice that things can be done a little bit, I guess with a little bit more pride, you know what I mean? And that's what I think is missing in a lot of like media today. Ain't no pride in what they're doing. So,
Definitely.
you know, and I'm very proud of this, man. Like I said, past year I've been working on it very hard.
No, you can tell, you can see it, man. You can really see it. And I don't even have to ask you who your influences are, but I'm gonna ask you who your influences. Like, who was you listening to as a kid? Like after the Kool Moe Dee stuff, like your 90s.
Yeah, so like I was listening to a lot of like so I went through phases, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in different places. I was born in Jersey. I moved out to Hawaii, and then I went out to Indiana for a while, and then California. And those were like my younger years. And those years actually influenced me a lot because I was getting a lot of stuff that from New York, and I had this like just weird connection that I never wanted to break from the East Coast. So I was getting a lot of stuff from Wu-Tang Clan, Capone and Noriega, Biggie, Lil C's, Junior Mafia. Those cats was like really big influences on me. Usually it's somebody that's very lyrical, like the RZA. He's that mug, or no, excuse me, the Jizza. The Jizza's that mug is lyrical like nobody else. Inspected Deck. Those two cats.
Sure.
Yeah, and so I actually had a lot of love for that growing up, and then I went to California and I lived there for a long time through my teens, and I was influenced a lot by, I guess, the people that I was hanging out with, you know, and I was hanging out with Crips and stuff back in the day, and I was really trying to like live that life and be a gangster and stuff. So I was listening to a lot of Snoop and but if you really listen to
everybody was at that time. Like even Biggie and them was listening to Snoop and all that,
for real.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
If you look at the Dog Pound though, you can see some really good lyricists like Corrupt. Corrupt to me is always going to be one of the best lyricists ever. Like
he one of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, Corrupt is sick with it. So he was very influential to me as well. And Busta Rhymes is another one, man. Busta Rhymes, like his theatricality in his flow and the way he delivers things is like no other. You know what I mean? The way he switches up his voice, he goes from that to like patois, spitting Jamaican flows. You know what I mean? And I've got a few. I think I have one song like that I did. I actually spit it up and I tried to do a patois and I spit a little Spanish in there and stuff like that. So you know, it all has to do with style and lyrical content. Those are my influences, basically. You know, those people like that. Kool Moe Dee, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim,
KRS.
Oh yes, KRS. I don't think I've ever been to a better show than a KRS show. Like when he gets down, like honestly.
Facts. His interaction with
I've never been to a better show. I've seen Kweli, I've seen Busta, I've seen I've seen Method Man and Redman. I ain't seen the whole Wu. I've seen a gang of people in concert, but I'm telling you, the best show I ever been to. Oh man, look at that.
I keep that in my wallet, bro. That was
I pulled that out.
God,
bro. Yeah, though. Look at that, man.
That was beautiful. August 2000. I was backstage with the well, really, I went to the show, but then I was leaving the concert after
man, that's
club, and my homeboy was like, well, I didn't know it was my homeboy. I just seen, you know, someone blocking the crowd with a staff t-shirt on the back of staff, and he's letting the Wu get on their van real quick and blocking the crowd. And he turned around and I'm like, yo, I said, hey, Prince. He turned around. He's like, you know, what's good? And I'm like, bro, you working for He's like, yo, come with us to the after party. We're going to chill with the Wu and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, bro, they ain't going to let me in. He's like, took the thing off his neck, the laminate, put it on my neck. That's it right there. And he's like, follow me to the thing. And yeah, we went to the after thing, and I was chilling with master. Like, yo, that was an epic night, man. Like, that's the best show I ever been to.
Oh yeah, nothing to top that, right? No, I feel you. I feel you. But I was like, my KRS experience was like, it was a small venue. I mean, probably maybe 100 people, and we were sitting like damn near front row. Like it was just kind of like almost general admission, and there was a few tables, and we were sitting at one of the front tables. And they had Cannabis come out. De La Soul was there with Prince Paul, and then all of a sudden the main one was KRS. He came out. killed
Yeah.
it. Killed
I
it
seen
that
him with
night.
Dougie Fresh in a little, like you said, like a little bar, like a little club, man. A real
Yeah, that's
intimate,
gotta
like
be
a little
dope too.
concert. It was fire. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Dougie Fresh, another one right there, man. He gets down. That guy can tell it.
Yeah.
Talk about storytelling right there. That guy can tell a story too.
Slick Rick. Yeah.
Yeah, Slick Rick. He was another big influence. I remember listening to that story and feeling something. You know what I mean? Because when I remember when I first heard that song, I can't. I'm dropping the name right now for some reason. What is it? It's the
the story. Bedtime,
bedtime stories. Yeah, something like that, right?
Nah, what the
It's
I can't think of it either.
yeah, I don't know why it's slipping the name slipping, but that song I remember
Somebody
listening
in
to
the
it.
chat, please say what the name
Yeah,
of the song
please.
is. Uncle Ricky. Yeah.
Yeah, would you please tell us? And that one
bedtime
it hit me hard, man. It made me realize there was some like serious stuff happening out there. You know what I mean? It was just it was a silly song, but like for real, it had a straight up serious message, man. And
Dope Fiend pull out a shotgun and
the shot of the kids still hear him scream. You know what I mean? I was like, man, that it really affected me. That song I remember specifically affected me a lot. And I remember what was the comic book that was a Spider-Gwen, I think. Is that the one who with Marvel redid the cover? Yeah, that was a dope cover. I like that one.
Yeah, my favorite cover, man. Let me get.
Yeah, that Spider-Gwen, it was a real dope cover. I saw that instantly, was like, that's some Slick Rick right there.
This is my favorite joint.
Oh yeah, the Illmatic one from Miles. Dude, I've been looking for that one actually, man. That one's I found I think one copy for like $90. I'm gonna swoop that one up as soon as I can.
You found one for $90?
Yeah, I don't even know. It might be a second.
They're like $250 raw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was go look on eBay. I'm telling you, I was looking on there last night.
Just because it depends on the condition too. But yeah, bro, like on eBay, they're like $200, $250 for a nice clean one. And my man blessed me with that, so that's my gem right there.
That's a nice one. I like that cover too. And there's that I think it's Iron Man. They redid that Jizza joint, the Liquid Swords cover.
Yeah, I got that one too.
You got that one too, man. That's cool. Yeah, that's another one.
The one I'm really trying to get is the Amadeus Cho, the Amazing Hulk, the Cuban Links.
Yes.
Purple tape. I want that one, and I still need 36 Chambers and the Howard the Duck, Old Dirty Bastard. I
haven't even seen that one yet.
It's the food stamp card cover.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. With
Howard the Duck. Hell yeah,
that's cool as hell, man. I didn't even see that.
So what are that's your hip hop influences? What are your major comic influences that made you like want to write? Because you were talking about writing a novel. I was reading books, and I was reading a book by Don Winslow called Cartel.
Okay.
No, Power of the Dog. And it was so good, bro, that I was like, man, I want to write a book. And I, started writing a novel. I'm still working. I've been working on it forever. But what was some comics that made you want to write, made you want to make a book?
Well, I wouldn't say it was specific, comics. I would say like Stan Lee, to hear his story and the ideas that he had and just the amount of stuff that he would come up with that's still relevant to this day, that the characters are still being used, and that legacy he built was exactly. Jack Kirby.
They don't give enough props to Jack, man.
No, honestly, they don't. Honestly, I actually look for his comic books. I look for Jack Kirby comic books because with that specify his work on there, because I feel the same way. I feel like people don't give him enough credit, honestly, because without him, you don't have it. You know what I mean? Stan Lee's writing the words.
Part of the joints, but he drew those characters.
Yeah, like Kirby was the one who brought it to life.
Like if you think of the characters, you don't think of what Stan Lee did. Really, you think of their image.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
Kirby. Like, that's
all Kirby. Yeah, all day. And there's hundreds, if not 1,000 characters that they created, and it's just like a thought that comes up in Stan's head. He creates it like on picture, and Jack Kirby's definitely a major influence. What was his name? Jim Lee is another one. Oh yeah, look at that.
It ain't Kirby's work, but that's
all the characters.
And terrible lighting right there, but it's a handful. Like this is tiny fraction of the Marvel characters. I mean, that's really, there's nothing.
Yeah,
like,
that's for real.
You'd cover this whole wall if you were trying to you know, put every character. And, you know, like, especially, you know, not just the main characters, but there's so many, you know, side characters and, you know, not just sidekicks, but, you know what I mean? Like, characters that, cosmic characters, you know, characters that made the stories move that you don't hear about, man. They really have a universe that is so rich, man. It's like,
that's true. You know, and just same thing with, like, say, Stephen King. You know, he's another big influence of mine because he does actually have some comic books like the Black Tower and stuff like that are out, and the Stand, the Dark Tower, and the Stand.
He got the comics too. I got some.
Those are me too. I got some of those too, man. Like, he's got some really good work, and he's actually worked with DC and Marvel in the past to come up with some really good storylines and stuff. So, you know, but most of his stuff is like indie as well, and I love that, you know. So those are like two big influences. Like I said, Jim Lee, it was the other the artist.
Lee, that's one of my favorite artists. Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld. Todd
McFarlane is real cool. Like, I can't think of my like 90s without him. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I remember was just Todd McFarlane stuff. Spider-Man, like all those epic covers he had. You know what I mean? Those.
Yeah. That's where I got into it. Like, I got three. I got the Todd McFarlane Spidey slab.
Man, I saw those three, man, in one of your podcasts. I was like, man, that is dope. You got like with silver, the gold, and then the black or something like that.
The original, like the regular color one. Yeah, the gold and the silver. But that was like, that was what got me into comics, was Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, Spawn, you know what I mean? Carnage stuff, the Venom stuff, you know, the black suit Spidey.
You know, the thing that I guess there's another influence I had that I never actually really thought about until like now, you know, because Punisher's a big influence for me right now, and Cable, because I remember that those two characters.
My favorite character.
Yeah, is he really? Cable's
my favorite character. Period. Wolverine is a close second, but yeah, Cable.
Right.
Dope.
No, but the Punisher and Cable were the first two that I remember learning to draw. I remember there was this Korean kid I would sit with at lunch, and he would draw them, and I remember sitting there watching him. He was good, man. I mean, so good. And I was like, man, how do you do that? And he showed me how to draw a hand holding a gun.
I had a kid like that at school too. In high school, I was like, man, he was as good as the like, you know.
Oh yeah, as good as like Jim Lee. Like, for real. That's what I'm saying. I think that's who his influence was Jim Lee, because that I remember looking at Jim Lee's and being like, man, I remember drawing that Punisher right there, you know, and I remember drawing that Cable, and so I remember just drawing hands with guns, and then that was the one part he showed me how to draw, and then I remember going off of that trying to recreate his drawing, because he just gave it to me. He's like, here. And so I went home and tried to trace it, like, okay, let me try to draw this by myself. And ever since then, I'd been trying to draw, and I'd never really been a great artist, but you know, I have a certain eye for perspective, I guess, now, and I've been trying to use that perspective, like second, third, and then like there's more, I think, fifth perspective and stuff. So I'm trying to use those in my artwork into my panels, and that's why they're so open world like that. Like, there's no I'm trying not to just keep it so confined, you know. But yeah, those are some of the influences for real when it comes to like artwork and stuff like that. I do read a lot of books, man. I got a huge book collection. I don't know if I can move this real quick. Let me see if you can see it back there. Like that I built that in the background there against the wall. That's all my books. But really? I built that bookshelf, yeah. And
you know why that's crazy, dog? Like this bookshelf, I built this bookshelf.
Hey man, I'm telling you and me got so much in common from like
that joint, yo.
The variant. Look at you building your own bookshelves. I said, yeah, man, I built that bookshelf right there.
I had to.
Yeah, all my stuff was on my floor and stuff.
And I started looking like at bookshelves. They're fucking expensive, dog. I was like, man,
$250, $300. Yeah, man.
I built that for like $100, you know, buying the wood, the paint, you know what I mean, everything. And I just, out of my head, this is how I want it to look.
Yeah, and that's a good one, man. Looks good, looks clean too, man.
Yeah, I'm mad proud of it.
You should be. You should be. Anything you do with your hands, man, any kind of work you complete like that is you got to be proud of for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, finish, because I was gonna ask you a whole nother question.
Okay, no, I was just gonna say I've got a lot of influences as far as like books go, you know what I mean, and who like some of the authors are, you know. I do read more philosophy and reference books than I do like say stories, you know what I mean. Like right now, I got this book right here. It's called The World as Will and Representation. And this book is a trip because it breaks everything down in the world and in the universe into two basic forms. You can't get any lower than that. And it's basically as a object and a subject. So like, say like we're the subject, and this mouse right here is the object. You know, and that's its basic form. And to this is a subject, and its cursor is the object, you know. So you can break everything in the universe down, living, non-living, down to these two basic principles. And that's what the book is about in part. And then it also goes into like skepticism and philosophy. So I do love to read about like a lot of stuff like that and try to like understand.
48 Laws of Power and
yes, 48 Laws of Power is a great book, man. Honestly, that's a real good one. You know what I mean? There's also what's the other one? Plato. Plato's works is really good. Marcus Aurelius, if you're talking about like stoicism and stuff like that. Yeah, he's got a lot of really good work, you know. So I like to read on stuff like that and try to figure out where my mind's at before I start to dive into where somebody else's mind is at, you know, because I think that you've got to have a lot of empathy and sympathy and compassion to be able to tell a story from somebody else's perspective. And I try to jump in people's shoes all the time and try to like see things from their perspective and their angle. And try to feel people's pain a lot, and it really does help with like storytelling, honestly, you know.
Absolutely, you got to know where people, you know, how they think of stuff and how someone takes something, you know what I mean, like you said, you know, empathizing with how they would see it or how they would feel about it. Try to put yourself in their shoes, and it definitely helps you know yourself.
Yeah, that's ultimately,
understanding other people will help you know yourself. And like you definitely, you know, you got to read the philosophy books and you know, all of that stuff to get into the mode, and you know, to be able to write. Like I read a lot of books like that, but I also read a lot of stuff like how to write books, like Stephen King on writing is a phenomenal
I have that book, man. That book is amazing. Yes, I couldn't put that down, honestly.
It's one of the better books, you know, of like how to write a novel, because you know, I was reading a lot, you know. I read a crazy amount of books, and I started getting into fiction. But I was like you, like I only read, you know, philosophy, stuff like that, science, you know, history.
Right.
But yeah, I started reading fiction and got deep into it, man. Like mad deep. And it inspired me, man. Like I said, I want to do this. Like I really want to put a story down. It's something about being a storyteller that it's an innate thing that is some of us, you know, that's who you are. That's, you know, we're storytellers. That's a thing. Like that's a type of, you know, that's a person, that's an entity right there. A storyteller is who you are. You know, like I rapped, I opened up for Lil Wayne, Trick Daddy, you know, I did all that in the 90s. Like, that was, you know, but it moves to writing comics, to writing books. And I kind of have thought about turning my novel into a comic.
Yeah, for real.
Because it's dialogue heavy as a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Hella dialogue.
That's the thing. So you've got to be able to represent that dialogue. It does, man. Yeah, the dialogue makes a great comic book. Honestly,
definitely.
You know, I have a story. It's actually I have two spin-off comic books from this comic book, The Beggar. One is called Fits and Big Yikes, and then the other one is called The Crossovers. And both of those are basically Fits and Big Yikes came from my creating The Beggar and going through the story and writing the story, and that's where that comic book came from. That spin-off, I felt like that needed its own story to be told, because where you get introduced is like right in the middle, and you need to know what happened and how they came to be. And Fitz is a little girl from Louisiana, and that's what I was saying. Like the story takes us to Louisiana and The Beggar. So she's one of the characters. I think she's like 16 or 15, and she's got an imaginary friend that is a gorilla that changes color every time he's in a new panel or new page. He's going to be a different color, and it's just a color changing gorilla that is her like imaginary friend.
Right.
But in time, things happen to where she ends up manifesting him in real life. So that's where that's big yikes. Yeah,
big yikes.
Big yikes. Yeah, Fits and Big Yikes. And then that one's gonna be real cool. It's gonna be like kind of, if you think about like the what is it called? In the Ant-Man, what is that called? Where they shrink him down into the
Ant-Man?
Yeah, in the movie they shrink him down into like Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he shrinks down real low, and he starts going. And he's stuck there for like 5 hours during the snap. And that little universe, or the
quantum realm.
Thank you, the quantum realm. So you think of it as kind of like that, you know what I mean? And like that's where her brain is at, and she's thinking of these things. She ends up manifesting this in real life, and that's like that's
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, almost exactly. She's got not quite those powers. It's mostly just awareness and self-awareness and ability to create, and her imagination. Those are like her superpowers. Right. So there's that, and then the crossover, like you were saying, is actually just a book that I've been writing, a novel that I felt like, you know what, this needs to be a comic book, because like everything is taking place in this, and finding your place in the world and the dialogue that happens in it. I was like, I have to put this as a comic book. So that's going to be probably the next one.
And are you writing these comic books? Like, because most people think if you're writing a comic, you have to draw the panels and you write the speech bubbles. But is it like that, or are you is it more like writing a book? You're just writing it out on a page, and later you'll make panels and images?
Well, my process has evolved, because what I used to do was, let me see if I got it right here. I don't know if you've seen this book right here. I was using this. It's basically like, remember I was telling you like that linear thing like that. So I've got a few of these, and I was starting to draw on them and get my storyline down. And I realized, like, as I'm going, I was changing too many things, and I was like, oh man, this panel, I got to scratch that out. So like I said, it evolved from me drawing and trying to do it all at the same time to now I got to sit down, because what do? I'm a writer. I'm all about words, lyrics, stuff like that. So I was like, let me just write something. And so I wrote it like a story at first. And then it evolved from me writing a whole comic book like a story to actually segmenting it into different parts. So I have this program called OneNote on my computer. I don't know if you've ever used OneNote. It's like an organizational tool that you could make anything.
Oh yeah. My everything from my novels in my OneNote.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, OneNote, if you aren't using OneNote, use it, because I'm telling you, you can subsections to subsections and tell your stories. You can create, graphs and storylines and all these types of things in there. It's real cool. Very, very practical way to use to get your stories together. But in that, like, I ended up using that, and they have a function there where you can split the text up. And you can change colors. So I have all the dialogue or the descriptive stuff on the left and white. Then I have all the dialogue in the blue on the left and the right. I have it split up. So now I can see, okay, well, this is the spot I'm going to, and this is what they're going to say. This is what they got to do. So that's how I ended up. That's how I'm doing it. I wrote the issues first, 3 first issues of The Beggar. I have them written down, and then I have concepts and plot points and everything like that for the next stories. But the first 3 issues are completely written, and they're done as far as that goes. Now I've been working on the first issue's artwork for probably say about 2 months now, and I've got a few pages done. And like I said, this is a craft that you've got to learn. If you've only been like ever just drawing or ever just painting, just freehand, or I'm gonna draw a character, like putting them in environments and making them do what you want them to do, and making it like concise and tell a story. Because you can write some stuff down and you could put things there, but it's got to push the story along.
So move the story forward, right?
Yeah,
every page has to make you want to turn that page.
Exactly. And these first 3 little things in the middle, the 3 little panels, those have changed probably 5 or 6 times before I decided on this, because I wanted to tell I wanted to tell more by showing more detail. And I was like, no, I think I need to show less. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was showing him talking to them, running across the street, almost getting hit by a car. I was showing all this like stuff in these panels, and I said, you know what? No, I'm just going to show him having the conversation, then giving him stuff. Then now, bam, he's just at the basketball court. I don't have to show him running across and the dangers in the streets. And stuff. So I decided to show less and tell more, and I realized like, damn, this actually moves it along a little bit better, and it actually goes into the next panel. He's playing basketball. What happens on the next page is he's done. Now he's bouncing his ball down the street. It's you see it's a rough ass neighborhood, and then he sees an alley and something that's familiar to him, which is his friend, and he's like, dang. So, and that's where everything starts. It just goes like basically not even downhill. It just like explodes from that moment. There's so much stuff that happens and so many different emotions that are like touched on. I believe the next scene after that, we go to Louisiana, and that's where you meet Fitz. And then the scene after that, you meet another main character whose name is Akira Akiyoshi, and he's a young kid in Japan, and he's actually the battle rapper that I was telling you about, who in one of the scenes he actually spits a rhyme. And that was something that I came up with because I love to write rhymes. I still write rhymes, just like I'm always freestyling in my head. Back when Jay-Z was talking about how he never wrote anything down, that's how I am too. I always just keep flows in my head. I could just spit anything at the drop of a dime. Just ask me, spit something, it's there. You know what I mean? So like I was just like writing, I was like, you know what, he's gonna go do a battle rap. So then I wrote that scene down, and I remember reading the line, and I had to rewrite it though because it was me spitting. It wasn't him. You know what I mean? So that's what I was talking about earlier. You got to have perspective when you're writing a story. You can't just write for you. So I had to like change my whole mentality up and be like, okay, what would this kid write about? And he has his line in there where he's like 19, summa cum laude already. It's frightening, something like that. You know what I mean?
Perspective, right? Like
exactly.
My main character is a female, and it's actually about 3 females that they're dating the same guy. Of course they don't know that. So, but the guy kills himself, and the whole story is about them talking about witnessing and killing himself. One of them's on the phone when he does it. One of them's FaceTiming, and one of them's on like a Zoom. Yeah, and so they all witness it at the same time. They don't know each other's there and existing, and they kind of the stories intertwine and everything. But that goes back to perspective, because I got to write from the perspective of a female.
Yeah,
how she's thinking about it. You know what I mean? And that was
3 different females.
Very different females, right? One's like a gangster thugged out chick, one's a hip hop chick, and one's like a very conservative, clean cut,
like business,
corporate chick, right?
Yeah.
But obviously they're way more nuanced and 3-dimensional.
Of course,
than that. It's part of the appeal to me, writing from another perspective. Like that was kind of why I wanted to do it. Like that's part of the fun of it. You know what I mean? For me, you feel like that's kind of a draw to you, is to be able to be in someone else's mind or be someone else, think as someone else.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Sometimes I do. It can help, and it can, I don't know, it can confuse you, I think, sometimes too.
You got to write what you know. You got to write what you know.
There you go. That's a perfect way to put it.
From another perspective. Right.
Yeah, because we don't always know, what that perspective is feeling. We might be able to think we do, or we might be able to try to understand, but we don't truly know what that other, perspective is. So we can only get so close to it, and hopefully we do it justice, whatever that topic might be, and that demographic as well. I'm very inclusive, man. I really don't care about what you call yourself or what you say about yourself. You know what I mean? Like I think I said something to you about back in the day. I ain't about, pronouns. I'm just pro name. You know what I mean? I'll call you by your name, whatever you need me to call you, but don't try to force me into, into something that and don't force your perspective on me. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I'm asking. I'm not trying to force my perspective on you. You could choose to read this if you want to, or like leave it there. But this is what I'm seeing and how I want to like represent my side of it and my perspective, you know, and how I see things, you know. So it is ultimately all coming from me, but I do try to include everybody else and every other perspective that's out there, for sure.
Yeah, you got it right. What you like my three characters. Like I said, one's a gangster chick, one's like a hip hop chick, and one's a corporate chick. I've been in the street. I've been an MC. I've had a business. You know what I mean? So I know all those lifestyles, but not as a female. You know what I mean? Not
for real.
From the perspective of you know, someone that just witnessed the person that they love kill themselves. You know what I mean? So I think it's dope, man, to be able to twist on what you know about. You know what I mean? Like, what if I was someone else and that happened? You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So
for real,
that's a lot.
You know,
that's the dope part of it.
That takes a lot of open-mindedness. You know what I mean? The fact that you can do that and think of
thing.
Empathy, for real. Definitely empathy, you know. And that's the thing I think that's lacking nowadays. You know, you see a lot of these people that like want to push for a civil war and stuff like that, and they want to make this thing all like you versus me and stuff. It's like, yo, you just gotta like feel the other person's like pain. You gotta understand their struggle. You just gotta see things from their angle, you know. And I think if that happened a little bit more often, then, you know, it'd be a little bit better, you know. But I see some of the guests you have on your show, man, and you know, like what was his name, Palmiotti, Jimmy Palmiotti, yeah, man, like he's great, dude. Like honestly, I didn't realize that, like the amount of work he's done and all the things that he's worked on, man. And I was like, and I have to mention him as an influence because of the fact that I was kind of sleeping on him, you know what I mean? And I realized like, damn, he's got a lot of work out there that I've actually looked at and enjoyed, man. So
Marvel Knights.
Yeah, man, I was like tripping when I saw that. I was like, dude, this guy has done more work than I've actually realized. So that was a really good show, I think, because that one epitomizes like what you're trying to do here, what you did with like trying to mix hip hop and comics, that the flavor of that show and the tone of that show was perfect, man. I got to give it up to you because the stuff you guys were talking about and how open it was, you know what I mean? And it was beautiful. Honestly, it was a great show.
Man, thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot, you know, because we try to, like, I've interviewed a lot of people, like you said, but honestly, this is maybe the only interview that's been a one-on-one thing, because normally we set it up like more of a panel.
Right.
We kind of include the guest in like a conversation versus ask you a question, you answer it, ask you a question, you answer it. You know what I mean? Because that gets stale, and it's also they got their pre-set up lines, and you know what I mean? You don't really get to meet the person. But if I get you to relax and kick the bobo and you laughing and we talking and conversing, then people are like, wow, I really feel like I know who that cat is.
Yeah,
you know,
for real. Yeah, you know, and I appreciate you for that too. You made me feel real comfortable in the beginning. You know what I mean? So, and I love the communication we've been having for the past few weeks and stuff. So, I really appreciate that. I did just want to come on the show and like kind of just kick it and chop it up with you guys because it looks like a lot of fun, man. Honestly, I
don't know where everybody's at right now. Like, I
don't know. Hey, people got things to do, man. I ain't even tripping.
That's what I'm saying. Like normally there'd be like 4 or 5 people on here right now. I don't know what happened to Stu, Spade and Cooks and Lazarus. They all doing their thing, but you know, I want to have you back on the show with us. You know what I mean? Like a panel thing where you.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to, man. Honestly.
And there's not that many. Like it's like 5 people in here right now. Normally we got like 20 people in here at least in the chat. You know, chatting it up, kicking it. So. I definitely want to have you back, man, on like a Monday, you know, a hip hop.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. Look, ain't nobody know who I am. I'm just here to introduce myself, let you guys know that I'm doing something. I'm really going to try to push this out here soon so you guys can see more. I do put up a lot of stuff on my Instagram and my Twitter and YouTube and my LinkedIn even, man. I try to get, you know, my word out there, and my word is basically positivity. You know what I mean? Practice, do what you do you, and that's it. You know, and like I said, I really just wanted to come on here and be a part of the discussion because I feel like this is something special, homie. Honestly, like the fact that you guys got hip hop and comics, and I ain't never seen a show like this before, never. And I've been looking for something like this. Honestly,
I hear you, dog, and that's why I did this because I really was. I mean, yeah, I was really reading Harbinger, and I really saw that line, and I really was like, yo, hip hop and comics, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be a thing. Like, I want to do a YouTube channel about it. Like, that really came to me just like that.
Just like that,
and I wanted to do that because, like you said, there's nothing else. There's no one else doing that. It's either hip hop or it's strictly comics, just collecting.
Comics,
but it makes sense to merge them because they're really related more than people think. That's why it's called the sixth element of hip hop, because you know hip hop has 5 elements: MCing, DJing, breakdancing, graffiti, and knowledge or fashion, depending on who you ask. But the sixth element is comic books, because they've been a major part since the beginning. It's a major component of hip hop, but it's not one that's as well known or talked about, man. So we definitely wanted to bring that to the forefront, man. And I appreciate you for
doing your thing, man. You are doing your thing. I gotta say, you know, I appreciate it. Like I look for your content all the time. I try to represent and try to support and share as much as I can, and tell people to like go watch you, because this is important. This is important. I believe this is kind of going to be a movement, you know, that will take us into the next like step of the two, you know, becoming more involved with each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to see more covers and more references in songs and stuff. A lot of videos going to have that format, you know, of like, say, a comic book or something like, what's his name? Eminem just did the joint with Kid Cudi, and that was kind of like, was it Moon Man? And
I ain't see that one.
No, yeah, Kid Cudi came out with a song called Moon Man and Slim Shady and Moon Man or something like that. But they got the whole video is like it's comic book like style. You know what I mean? They're 2 superheroes, and that whole video is like that. It's real dope. So I'd say check that out. I don't know if you like get down with Kid Cudi, but that's a good one that I saw.
You know, Eminem is one of them dudes that he's lyrically one of the best to ever do it. Like, I take nothing from him lyrically. He's a goat. I think it's his voice, or maybe the content at first, the Slim Shady stuff. For me, it never resonated. I never really got into Eminem stuff where I was like buying his music and riding in the whip listening to it.
Right.
Like, it was never on the corner. We didn't, you know, have Eminem bumping, but it was something that always, as MCs, like we'd be in the studio like talking about him and his lyrics and all of that.
Gotta respect it, man. Honestly,
the lyrics, because it's you know, dude he came out and did something nobody was doing. Like, nobody was rapping like that. Nobody was flipping syllables like that. Period, in the game, and he mastered that shit. And so I don't take nothing from him, but I haven't really followed his stuff like that. But you know, and again, I hope he wouldn't take no offense to that, because it's not like everything ain't
country
for
music. You know what I'm saying? It's like country music. I don't listen to country music because it just don't relate to me. You know what I mean? That like his shit didn't relate to you, or a lot of people don't relate to him. You know what I mean? So, but they can. But like you said, they can respect the lyrics and the skill. You know,
and that's definitely not always. Listen, like he did a track called Infinite. That was
Infinite's dope, dude.
Way before like Slim Shady. Man, if you would have stuck to that, if that's how he would have kept, you know, rapping, I probably would have ended up being a major fan. But I think him and Dre concocted this thing where they were like, let's try to reach, you know, the trailer park kids, the white kids, and talking about 9-inch nails through your eyelids, and like that was kind of
commercial, man. That's what
strategy to go commercial and blow the fuck up, and he became like the highest selling rapper of all time. You know what I mean? Like, so. You can't. I don't knock his business. You know what I mean?
You can't deny it, I guess.
And I don't. And as an MC, because I've heard stuff like Infinite, and you know, like what he did on Renegade on the Blueprint too. Like that was crazy. Like he's done a lot of like 7 different levels of horses, devil worshiping, horses' heads, human sacrifices. Like the shit he did on Biggie shit. I was like, he killed that shit. So he's got tracks like that I do dig, and it's stuff I do relate to. But as a whole, like I was never buying his albums.
No, I feel you. Have you heard that new K Slay track, 110 Deep? Ever heard that? Dude, did you see the lineup on that?
Oh my God. Is this the second one he did? Because I remember there was one like last year, and it was like 50 cats.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if it was K Slay though. I gotta see who did it, but I think this is like his second one. I think that was
Second
him.
one,
I think
okay.
this is like, and yeah, man, that shit is crazy.
It is, man. I was flipping when I saw who was on it. I was like, I can't believe the lineup on this, man. Just skill and like just fire through the whole thing. And I like the way that it wasn't too short. It was like a perfect amount. You know what I mean? What was they spitting, like 8 bars or something like that? And they were like,
quick,
man.
like everyone had a quick little half a verse. But man, like, and I've been talking to Pharoah Monch, man, and his
yes,
manager. So he's gonna be on the show. We don't have a date set, but I'm talking to
that's gonna be a good one, man.
Yeah,
that boy right there, he's another MC who could just go.
And a major collector. Like, dude has, like, see all these like Marvel Legends figures and all that. He has all of them. Like, he got way more Marvel Legends than I got. I got like 6 rows of shelves of Marvel Legends. I had no idea. I was just on Instagram and I saw Pharoah Monch on there, and behind him was like a shelf of action figures.
Right.
I'm like, yo, he get down like
what you
that.
Got? Yeah.
And I start looking at his page, and I'm like, yo, he's into it. Like, he posts little videos and pictures about it. Check him out on Instagram, man. He's heavy.
I'm gonna, man. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and that's why I hit him up. I was like, yo, like, you have no idea. We need to talk. Like, we on the same. We talking about the same shit, man. We need to put this out here, man, because
that's what got me on this, man. When I started watching it, I just happened to come across your show, man. Honestly, just happened to come across. I was like, yo, let me look at this. And then I started realizing, like, this is the stuff I be talking about with my boys, you know what I mean? Or my daughter, you know what I mean? Like, we're just always just talking about music, comics, just, stuff like that. It's always in my life, always has been, probably always will be, So yeah, I mean, like I said, I appreciate it. Much love, for the show, man. I hope it goes skyrockets, man. Honestly,
me too, bro. And that's
oh, there you go, Spade.
Welcome, Spade. What's good, bro? Oh, I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your mic ain't muted either. It's something on your side. All right, you gonna go out and come back? He he said in the chat, he said he was posting a YouTube video right now too. He does he's got his channel, it's called Channel 1 Ace 7.
Okay.
Number 1 ACE and the number 7 is in the chat. Yeah, he posts like comic unboxings and like he went to the Comic-Con, he was talking about that. So he does some, cool little stuff like that. And he was a pro wrestler, like in the game for real, like wrestling. Like,
that's dope, man. I remember hearing you say that yesterday or something, one of the shows. I was like, that's dope, man. I've always actually wanted to be a professional wrestler. I tried out remember Tough Enough back in the day? I don't know if you remember that. Oh, here he goes. What up?
Nah, what's Tough Enough? What is that, y'all?
Tough Enough. It was a show that WWE had back in the day where you would go, like, it was kind of like Real World, but for wrestling. You know what I mean? And it was like back in 2000, maybe 2000, I think it was 2000, yeah, something like that, real like early 2000s. I applied for it, you know what I mean? And that was back in the day. I came out as my wrestling name has always been Untouchable. So that's my character in my comic book. He came out, he's a wrestler, his name is Untouchable. And it actually does have to do with the story. Like, it's important that, the fact that he is untouchable. So it does come into play, the name does, but he is one of the characters, and that was majorly influenced by wrestling for sure. Reno was telling me you was a professional wrestler, man.
Yeah, man, I did it for 14 years and off and on for 14 years. And interestingly enough, I started in 2003. So around 2005, I started out as a heel and I turned babyface, but I was turning back heel. And I started calling myself Spade the Untouchable. So when you said that, I started laughing because I was like, man, that's what I called myself. Like, that's genius.
Yeah, right. That is a good name, man. It's a good name.
Because I was like, at the time, I just felt nobody could touch me in the ring. And that's just, call it being cocky, but that's just how I felt. I'm like, I could do things nobody else could do.
Right. That's dope, man. That's dope. I like that.
And so being a heel, for everybody that don't know, and a baby face, that heel is like one of the bad guy wrestlers, and the baby face is the good guy hero.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people, which Ali, you can attest to this too, you know, being in writing, you see a lot of similar elements in wrestling and comic books.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. The drama and, you know, the confrontations and stuff like that. The fighting that leads up to a big fight. You know what I mean? There's always that. It's always the storyline always leads up to a confrontation. And that's how it is in comic books and wrestling. You know, they just lead up. Yeah, that is a dope cover right there. I remember seeing that yesterday.
That's so dope,
That
man.
is so
Ultimate
dope.
Warrior was my dude in WWF. Like I didn't get into wrestling real heavy, but you know, I would, you know, obviously growing up in the 80s and 90s, you know, it's on TV and I'd be flipping through and I'd watch. Like if Sting was on, I would watch it.
Right.
If Ultimate Warrior was on, I'd watch it.
You'd
But
watch
I didn't really follow it a lot. But yeah, man.
Yeah, for me the same thing. It was Macho Man got me into it. Macho Man was watching him, and
I met Macho Man. I met Randy. Yeah,
That's
bro.
dope.
Like, cause I lived in St. Pete, Florida, and all the wrestlers live in Clearwater, Florida, and St. Petersburg, Florida. Like Hulk Hogan, like Macho Man. You know, like all that, the whole crew. Bam Bam, Big, like all of them cats lived there, and yeah, I was in Subway on St. Pete Beach. And I seen the dope new like 1998 Benz, and this was 97. Like the 98 Benz rolled up in the lot, and I'm like, yo, looking at this car, and fucking Macho Man steps out, comes all in, fucking orders a sub and shit. And I'm like, yo, nice to meet you, sir. Yeah, man.
That's dope, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh,
no,
man.
but he was one of my favorites. I love the Junkyard Dog, Bad News Brown, also like Jake the Snake Roberts, and they had like their whole, like their duo before, man. I remember who was it?
Rick Rude.
Rick Rude, yes, Ravishing Rude.
Yeah.
Brutus Barber Beefcake. Mr. Perfect was the shit, dude. I love Mr. Perfect. I used to love how he used to come out and smack the gum. He spit the gum out his mouth and smack it out into the audience. I used to try that when I was a little kid. Always missed the gum and stuff.
I was going to ask you how many times did you try that, man?
Yeah, all the time, man. Anytime I had some gum in my mouth, I always try to spit it out and smack it. But yeah, Mr. Perfect was dope, man. He was actually a tactician when it came to like wrestling moves, man. He was real good, and there was a reason why I called him Mr. Perfect.
He was smooth. He was really smooth. Yeah. One thing I also learned in like my wrestling career, studying old matches and old wrestlers, like the heels were the one that made the match, and the guy that I hated the most in the 80s, like Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. These were some of the guys I'm like, now I'm like, yo, why wouldn't I cheer these guys? But I was young and dumb.
Yeah.
So Macho Man was always,
they were the bad guys, you know, like they made it seem like you wanted to hate them, but like you said, that made it a dope show. Like that was the drama.
Hulk Hogan wouldn't be nowhere near where he is without having good villains to
Andre the Giant.
Yeah. For real. Yeah. Hulk Hogan was cool, and he had like just the whole persona. He was a big dude. But like you said, he wasn't nothing without, like, say, Andre the Giant, or when him and Macho Man and him and Ultimate Warrior was beefing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Back in the day, you know, Hulk was the biggest name, but like you said, for me, I always was more entertained watching Ravishing Rick Rude, you know, or the $1 Million Man shove a dollar bill in somebody's mouth after he beat him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That was always my part, that I was always like, man, this guy's funny. I don't know what it was about the heels, though, that always got me, you know? And representation is another thing, too, because like Jimmy Snuka was one that I always like. I was like, he looks like me, you know what I mean? Like I could be Jimmy Snuka if I want to for Halloween and stuff like that. So, you know, that was another big thing, was the cats that kind of look like you and stuff like that. That was the ones you would be cheering on. Didn't matter if they was good or bad, in my opinion. I was just like,
yo, this is crazy, y'all. I'm looking in this book real quick, man. Look at the art in this shit.
I was gonna ask if you read it yet. Have you read the story? That is dope, dude. Look at that. I just
got it yesterday. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, man. Look at that.
Yeah, it's like crazy coloring and
those panels, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the panel. Like, it's not even like just grid pattern. Like, I like when they do, you know, creative panels. Like, when we only find them when they're dead is an indie joint that's out right now that is they go crazy with the panels.
Yeah, I picked that up because the show the other day you guys was talking about it. It just sounded so interesting. With the celestial bodies out there, like kind of
bro,
the beings and stuff. That storyline is crazy.
Definitely crazy. That's one of my favorite indies out right now. It's like, for me, it's that Something Is Killing the Children, Department of Truth, Philadelphia.
Dude, Department of Truth, dude. What is that about, man? That is no joke.
Is like some conspiracy theory shit. Like, talking about, you know, conspiracies and like, you know, alien, like, you know, ancient Egyptian, like just everything, man. Like all the cool shit. Like if you're just into it, you just, you know, it's all that stuff, man.
Have you heard of Ha? Have you seen that one at all?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't read any though.
Yeah, I've been reading that one. Yeah, that one's a good one. It seems like it's a bunch of little small stories that like might create like an anthology later, but I think each comic. But I haven't read the second issue because I just got them, and I wanted to read the first issue, and I read it, and it just seems like one story, and then it ended. And then the next one, the cover looks completely different with a different character. So I'm assuming that that's the way it's gonna be, possibly like maybe a few single stories in the beginning. It leads into something bigger. I don't know, but it's a pretty dope rag, dude. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all indie stuff right here.
Dang, man.
Fucking Stillwater.
Oh wow, dope. I haven't even heard that one.
Yeah, this is Chip Zdarsky. If like that's one of my it's Jonathan Hickman, Al Ewing, and Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah, dude. Jonathan Hickman I've heard of for sure.
Oh, this one's dope too. Vietnam horror.
Oh wow.
And it's just like what it says, Vietnam horror.
Yeah. That's another thing that I feel like hip hop also is like in bed with a little bit is horror. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, you know, because back in the day, that one right there, Something Is Killing the Children. I don't know if you read that one yet, but that one's dope too.
Yeah, I love this one. This is one of my favorite joints. A couple of cool variants.
Oh yeah, I saw that one on eBay yesterday too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then all of these, we only find them when they're dead.
Nice.
It's crazy. Berserker's dope.
Yeah, that's one from Keanu Reeves, right?
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, it's kind of like on some John Wick / Barbarian, just crazy shit.
Have you seen the John Wick comics? Have you got those yet? No, those are dope too, man. Yeah,
I didn't know they had them.
Oh, this is dope. You ever seen Ninja Scroll, the anime?
Oh yeah, I love that
was
one,
my
dude.
shit.
Yeah, I love Ninja Scroll.
Ninja Scroll is my favorite anime movie, and this is the whole little comic series. They got oh yeah, Dune is crazy right now. That's out right now. Indie shit. Talking about indie shit. Cyberpunk is dope.
Oh, that's dope. So look, here's the John Wick I was telling you about. Dynamite.
Oh yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah, they got some dope covers and stuff. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good series right there too.
I have seen that John Wick. Yeah, Resistance. Yeah. And this is also one of my number one favorite joints.
Nottingham.
Man,
I've seen that one, man. Is that good?
Man,
it is.
Like, man, it's like it's the Robin Hood story, but from the perspective of the sheriff of Nottingham and like the bad guys, yo. It's fucking.
I like that, dude.
And it has like Little John and Robin Hood looking like badass, you know, bad guys and shit. Like it's cool as fuck, dog.
Right. That's dope, man. That sounds like this one right here. Have you seen this?
Nice House on the Lake is dope.
That one looks dope. That Nice House on the Lake one.
Yeah, this shit will blow your mind, bro.
I'm saying
House on the Lake is some mind blowing shit.
That one looks creepy. But this one right here, the Manifest Destiny, is a story of Lewis and Clark. how they discovered America. This one is dope because like in one scene, like let me open this up and show you what they end up recreating the story, and they end up shooting like this buffalo centaur thing. And that that's the end of the first issue. Then it goes on in the second issue where they start like they start taking the animal apart, trying to see, you know, what it's made of, because they're like trying to figure. They heard that Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson, Wheezy and George.
Moving on up.
They heard that Thomas Jefferson had heard some stories that there were some beasts in America on the plains and stuff. So they were expecting it, and this is when it finally happens, because they're like on a ship trying to find like new land, and Lewis and Clark are discovering it. And it started off pretty slow, I'll be honest with you, but like the storyline picked up right when you see that centaur come in. It's like, whoa, what is this? So a different twist on like history, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That sounds dope, man. That's some shit I would definitely rock with. These are dope too. Basilisk is some new shit that's dope.
Basilisk, that is dope.
Brand new.
Is that like sci-fi?
Everfrost. Right now, it's just this chick that, yeah, I mean, it's sci-fi, but it takes place, you know, in regular, you know, our time,
right?
You know, modern time, and but it's like more like some mutant type stuff. Like they got powers, like and Everfrost is dope. That's a new shit too. And I was talking about this the other day. Somebody was like, "Yo, what? They never heard of it." And this is fire. Philadelphia.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember somebody said they'd never heard of that, and I was kind of shocked too. I was like,
"Yeah,
you never heard of Philadelphia?"
I'll be honest, man. That's the first I'm hearing about it. To be honest with you.
Oh man, yeah, it's been out. There's like, I think it's fairly new, but there's like 20 issues, like 17.
Yeah.
Issues,
oh man, I gotta keep up, man. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, this shit is crazy, dog. Like dark,
like vampire type stuff, right?
Yeah, dark vampire shit.
Yeah, I like that stuff, man. I just watched that Queen of the Dead movie with or Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't realize how good she was as that vampire, man. Honestly, like she did a real good job as that.
Todd McFarlane.
Sexy as hell too. Did he?
That's the Todd McFarlane cover, yeah.
Damn, dude, that's dope.
Yeah, he's doing.
Yeah, that's hella dope.
But yeah, Image is killing it with their. I mean, I know they're pretty big, but I still call them indie. You know, like they're not Marvel, for real. You know. They're not Marvel and DC. They don't have that kind of money. They don't have that kind of, you know, market, market share. So they're still indie, and their books definitely seem indie. You know, like they're still writing indie type shit.
Like they do what they want. Yeah, for real.
Department of Truth stuff. You know what I mean? Like for people that are into, you know, reading and like stories, but haven't got into comics yet, but don't really think superhero stuff is for you. Maybe you think it's juvenile or whatever. Indie stuff is where you want to probably check out.
Yeah,
they got
definitely.
True crime, sci-fi, like dramas. There's shit, slice of life type shit, you know.
Yeah, and there's always new stuff.
There is literally a comic book for everybody.
For everybody.
I don't know if either one of y'all keep up with the Arrowverse some. I haven't much, but I do know David Ramsey, who played Digger, was gonna guest star on Legends of Tomorrow as this dude, Brad Reed.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
And so I'm like, I seen this at Walmart. It was like $5, and my wife was like, "Well, why don't you go ahead and pick it up? You know, like at the very least, you know, if you don't like it, you can resell it. It's just $5." And I don't dig westerns at all. Like I can't watch a western. I just don't like it. But I read this book and I was like, yo, this is really dope. So I started doing research and found out Bass Reeves was a real life person. He was the first black U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's dope.
So when I saw that, I tweeted about it when I saw DC had his likeness on Legends of Tomorrow. I'm like, yo, I got them books, man. I'm like, that is freaking awesome. So if they do something with them, like maybe they go up in value, maybe they don't, but it is a dope ass story.
That is dope, man.
So
I'll check it out, dude. Definitely.
like
Boss
Reno,
Reed.
yeah, Bass Reeves, man. So like just like Reno was saying, if you don't dig superheroes, if like westerns is your thing, they have western comic books. If horror is your thing, they have horror comic books. So there is literally a comic book for everybody. You just have to know what you're looking for and where to look for it, where to find it.
That's for real.
And never judge a book by its cover.
Unless it's a comic book. That's my motto kind of in life, man. You get people that are from all walks of life, and you never know what somebody is going through. You never know what somebody's talent is. So you definitely don't judge a book by its cover. But you see this comic book that had this badass cover or sucky ass cover, whichever one of the two. Right. You gotta judge that. Like, all right, I might buy it, I might not, but that's the motto that I always end my shows with.
Mm-hmm. That's for real. I mean, look, because I got these two based off the cover alone. I got this Iron Man #3, and I thought that cover was dope. And then this one right here, I like because it had Harley with the Ninja Turtles in that, like, you know what I'm saying, and it's Batman. So I was digging that. So, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? You pick something up that you like just because it looks good. You know what I mean? But it turns out to be a great read at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the cover, the comic, it was a trip to me, when I first started getting into it. Like, I thought that the comic would be like the cover. You know what I mean? Like, and it never looked like the cover. And then I started to see, when they would do variants, they would have characters and shit on the cover that had nothing to do with the comic inside. You know what I mean? Like that. So you almost can't judge a comic by its cover either.
That's
but
true.
You can buy a comic for its cover. Like a large percentage of my comics, I would definitely say most of them I bought because of the cover. It's not, most of them. Like, I have a lot of stuff that I read and stuff, but before I was buying keys, with certain specific characters or issues or events or first appearances, I was buying like Virgin variants and stuff based for the cover. But let me I want to play one more jam, one more of your tracks before we go.
All right.
And, it was great having you guys, man, and thank you for popping in.
Man,
and
no
Ali,
problem,
man,
bro.
we gonna get you. You're gonna come back on, and of course, once you get that your song submitted, you're gonna be on the show Friday, Artist Showcase Friday 6 p.m. on Full Blast. But so check me and Stu out Friday 6 p.m. Full Blast Radio for the Artist Showcase this Friday, and of course Monday we'll be back with Hip Hop and Comics at 6:30 p.m. and I might have Creamer and Cash and Slam from Sam's group on there. We don't know yet. Want to make sure. But other than that, we always gonna have a good show regardless because
one market don't stop no show. One market don't stop no show. Don't stop no show. Can't stop no show. One market don't stop no show. One market don't stop no show.
You know what I mean?
Damn, son.
All right, y'all. We're gonna play this and be out, y'all. One.
Here we go. Spike shoe steel toe properly delivered to your nose. Microphone cold flow, giving mercy no more. Delivering liver quivering words that'll sever your clever. Who or how whenever you getting us never forever. Need to step back quietly before there's a tragedy. Handed down by my family in the MU Academy. Practice verbal lobotomy, parables of insanity brought on by blood and agony. Niggas call it the Mount Teeth. Choke hole, broke those throats, slow, no force. Hold course, leaving them rigor mortis with no remorse. Broke through front lines, killing the charge of the sources. Those few and lucky few to survival levy the corpses. Cause this a bomb burner, a real slobber knocker. Go ahead, little nigga, I'll wait till you grab your chopper. We'll do this real proper, I guarantee I'll stop ya. Bring your pistol, snitch, roll a hog like street sweeper. Gotcha, Molly wailing one love, son yelling out murder. I'll be consciously spitting about him, sees I burn up. Turn up the heat, provoking impromptu retreats. Antagonists running away and it look like a trap meet. Attack me and the history of violence will follow, along with sorrow and horror. The time you had that was borrowed. I ain't saying today and next week or even tomorrow, but the fact of the matter is you're gonna be dealt out a death blow. So let go of any future plans that you set. Soul is mine, and you lie. I'm the reaper of rhymes, and I'm fine. Got all the bitches out there hiding, confined to their rooms, playing that songs on oohs and when. I wish he was my man, and I wish this was his hand. Enough with that flim flam, almost time for the hook, man. And you know your boy Ali like to spin it long like a book. Fam, saga, miniseries, chronicle, epic tale. Damn, when he gonna stop it? I don't know. He a monster. 100 lives like on Contra. If you don't know, you a youngster. Go play your little rap star, play with your hamsters. A lie fucking team stay in this era of gangsters. Chance to get your name up in lights and out in the public eye. Fucking with a liar, any one of the masters die. Eulogy read, he was a kind, gentle soul. One of the nicest people that you'd ever know. But dumb as fuck for even trying to touch niggas' flow. It wasn't enough that he knows he had to live it, breathe it into a message. To the masses telling them classes and sessions. Silverback is teaching them lessons. To the hustlers, the reverend soldiers, civilian foes and brethren, hoes and housewives, the businessmen, and the bums and solicitants, guards and prisoners, visitors, and the townies that never went anywhere, never shared the top spot with anyone. Heavy guns, and they all fucking ready, son. You rule the born on birthday of this evolved day with canned rage, waiting for the moment to calm break. For my sake, brothers need to be gave a shake. I'm irate due to the mind state of the rap game. I'm changing up the flow like Mississippi Road, Mississippi O, just a little more corrupt. With a wicked flow, come up, try to get that dough tossed up, trying to make it home, lost, but I've been in my zone, not up in her precious hole. As we try to make this family unit just a little bigger, asking why this white girl walking with this dirty nigga. Hey, you figure maybe that I'm Mexican? Well, guess again, cause testing them. Why ain't you arresting him? Is it cause it's fairer skin or I got extra melanin? I'm bringing in the next felon when you extra points with gentlemen that render indecision, no indecisions that keep them winning. Nah, well, I've been sinning since the beginning of time.
Yo.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yo, that was hype, man. I love that.
Spitting that shit.
Yeah, man. I like I said, my style is I don't know if I said this, but like I like to equate my style to like Bruce Lee. He always used to said my style is a style of no style. So
like
I try to, like water, you know what I mean? You gotta fit in wherever you can. So I try to take the beat and like put my lyrics to it and make it fit. So, you know, sometimes it comes out gangster, sometimes I switch up the flow and talk about, you know, life things and politics. So, you know, it does run the gambit just like my stories do. So I really appreciate you, you know, giving me the spotlight, you know what I mean, and the opportunity to come out and tell my story, man.
Thanks for coming on. And like I said, we're gonna have you back on, and we'll see everybody this Friday at 6 p.m. and we'll see everybody again Monday at 6:30 p.m. here on Sixth Element of Hip Hop. You guys hang out for a second.